welcome to the Man United show. We are live and we are joined by special guest Frank Sinclair. How you doing, Frank?
I'm good, Kieran. Good to see you. Nice to meet you. How are you?
I'm good. And of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Nathan Ellington. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm good as usual, especially after yesterday as well. Getting back to winning ways with United. So, can't be any better, to be fair.
Yeah, but like Man United are getting back to winning ways, but I don't know if you saw the game last night, the Chelsea versus Juventus game.
Oh my gosh.
They are on absolute fire. They are absolutely smashing at the moment. Frank, you must be happy with what you're seeing at Chelsea at the moment.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was working last night, so I didn't get to see the game. But obviously, picked up on the reports of Chelsea's performance and how dominant they were against Juventus, and it was pleasing to hear. I'll probably catch up on the game at some stage this evening, really, in between watching the Man City game tonight against PSG as well. But there's no surprises. I think since Thomas Tuchel first initially came in, it was as people saw it, it was a difficult job to take on because of where Frank Lampard really left it. He struggled towards the end, but he came in and hit the ground running. Obviously, won the Champions League as well. Yeah. And the next stage now for him is obviously your bread and butter. And what we're looking at is can he win the Premier League title this year? And he certainly put himself in a good position going into the new year. I think we're going to be strong candidates for that.
Yeah, definitely. So when he took over, there was a few fans that were grumbling. Obviously, the connection with Frank Lampard. Would you say they won over now?
Oh yeah, 100%. Chelsea fans, they historically they do like to back people that they see as their own. And I know Frank Lampard didn't come to the club, come through the youth ranks, etc., something like that, but came to the club at quite a young age. From West Ham, and obviously what he done at the football club. There's always going to be that love for him, and through the supporters. So I think they were disappointed that Frank didn't get to do all the time that he probably needed to try and get the football club to where he thought he could get them, along with Jody Morris. And obviously there's a lot of credit for them initially bringing in the young players, the likes of Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, obviously Reece James, who's playing terrifically now. I think he gets a lot of credit for being the first manager really to give them a real good chance, not just dip them in and out from the academy. And Frank played all the youngsters when he first came in, and I think he didn't have that pressure behind him of winning things because they were looking at it and saying, we need to start getting some of these young players coming through the academy into the team. And I think Thomas Tuchel's benefiting from that now. When you look at the way that Reece James is playing, Chalobah, obviously Mason Mount, sustained performances over the last 18 months or so since he's been in the side. And Thomas Tuchel's taking the benefits of that with obviously the experience that he's got in the team as well.
Yeah, definitely. Nathan, so how are you feeling against this Chelsea team right now? Off the back, look, things are changing. We saw
not that much. It's not going to change that much against
we saw
Chelsea.
A few changes yesterday. Is there been enough time for Carrick to really get in place what he wants to get in place against this Chelsea team to get a result?
Yeah, of course, they probably haven't done much since he's taken over. They only got a few, they're probably day off today. Only had one session maybe to get ready for that European game yesterday. So I know he's not going to have too many days, but there are going to be definitely changes from yesterday because Maguire's suspended as well. But Chelsea at the minute, they're a well-oiled machine, right? I never knew that Tuchel could do this. Like I don't think anyone was expecting him to go off at this kind of level. Like conceding so little amount of goals. Just winning game after game. Lukaku's out and they're still winning game after game. It's ridiculous. At the moment, to be honest, it's ridiculous what he's done. He's taken over and taken him to another level. So us going into Sunday, we've got to bring something different. We've got to do something different. And I think the thing is, like I said, Carrick's going to change the team. because Maguire's going to be out, so Bailly's going to come in. I think that's going to actually help against this team. And then I think the front three are going to be the same. I just think he'll probably start with Matic and Donny van der Beek in there and give Bruno back his spot up front. I think that'll be enough to trouble Chelsea, though. If we can get a first goal with that kind of team playing, I think we got a chance. You know,
there's always a chance. There's always a chance. I'm not going to.
We've got a chance if we could get the first goal. We got a chance.
Frank's smiling, a wry smile there. I'm just trying to be nice. It's not going to happen.
Clutching straws.
Yeah. One thing that there's many things to notice about Chelsea, but one thing that they've definitely got over Manchester United at the moment is their fullbacks. I know Ben Chilwell limped off yesterday, so he might not be there, but Ben Chilwell and Reece James between them, I think they've got like 9 goals between them. How integral are they to Chelsea going forward and having fullbacks that can not only deliver with assists but deliver with goals?
Yeah, it's key to the way that Thomas Tuchel likes to play. Your fullbacks, they're more like wingers in Chelsea's side. They play really high. They get the numbers in goals. And at the moment, it is Ben Chilwell and Reece James doing it very well for the team. But the secret to what Thomas Tuchel's got is he's got strength in depth. And you look at, Azpilicueta, who can play there. I know he can play right side of the three as well in the back three, but he can play a little bit further forward. Yes, he doesn't give you the same attacking prowess, but, he certainly is steady when he plays in that position. And obviously, on the other side of the pitch, there's Alonso, who over the last 2 or 3 seasons, I think he's been right up there in the top of stats when it comes to scoring and assisting goals from that left-hand side as well. So if Ben Chilwell is not fit, I think Alonso comes into the team and he gives you as much as a threat as Ben Chilwell's given, in recent times as well. So that's a bit of a secret to Thomas Tuchel. You touched on the fact that Lukaku's unfit at the minute. He finds a way to still win games, regardless of who drops out of the side. And that's credit to the squad, the togetherness. Because when you've got big clubs and big players at a club, it's very difficult to keep them all on side when they're not playing. But Thomas Tuchel seems to have a way with the respect from the players, the inclusiveness, that when they step into the team, they come in good form, which means behind the scenes, he's doing everything right as well. So I'm not, obviously, with the form that Chilwell's in at the moment, you'll be disappointed if it is a long-term injury or he's going to be out for a few weeks. But I won't be panicking because, for someone like Alonso or Emerson to step into that left-hand side, we've got strength in depth.
Absolute quality, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's one thing that Tuchel's done, because it seemed like a few players were kind of alienated or pushed out, that like they didn't really have much of a future under Lampard, but he's managed to rejuvenate the likes of Rudiger, who looks like one of the best defenders in Europe at the moment. Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's absolutely on fire again. Ruben Loftus-Cheek. He's keeping the rotation, as you said, he's keeping it going so that when they do come in, they're hitting the ground running, and he's keeping a happy squad.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just touched on Rudiger. He was obviously on the outskirts of Frank Lampard's group, for whatever reason it might be. I was, surprised with that, because I've always rated Rudiger. One-on-one defending, he's as good as anybody in the Premier League. But, I think Frank Lampard saw him as a little bit rash in his defending at times and can cost you. A little bit like what Bailly's like. And, Nathan's touched on that. Bailly might step into the team on Sunday. For me, the problem that Bailly will have is he is capable of a rick every now and then. And certainly the form that Chelsea's in at the moment, he'll get punished for any mistakes that he does make. So I'm quite looking forward to Bailly.
He's rubbing his hands, the lot.
I'm looking forward to him shutting you out.
It's like, a couple of pens there coming. Don't worry about that.
Shutting you guys out. I'm telling you.
Nathan. I know you gave us some of your the players there for your predicted lineup, but who would you have starting?
I'd have De Gea starting. I'd put in actually Telles might be. I think Shaw will probably be back for this if he's his head injury, the concussion. If he's over that, I'm not sure how many days it is, but I'm sure it's enough days have gone past for him
I think
to
it's 10
play
days,
again.
I think. Yeah.
Oh, if he is, then he won't play, will he? So it'll be Telles then, if that's the case. Telles by Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka. I'd go with Matic in there or Fred, because Fred did play a good game. I think you might need the legs, but again, you've got Bailly, so you don't need the legs as much. I'd like to see Matic with Donny in there. I think we'll be able to control the game better with those two in there than having Fred and McTominay in there. I think it's just going to be more quality on the ball, and that's what we're going to need to beat a team like Chelsea. And then I'd play Bruno in the hole. I put Rashi on the left or Martial and let Rashi come on later on, just like what happened. He's got fresh legs to get in behind him when the players get a bit more tired. Cristiano, of course, up front. Sancho is just starting to look like himself finally, and I'd like to see him play again. So that's the team I would start. As you can see, there's only two positions there where they're interchangeable: Martial or Rashford. Or you've got Matic and Fred, depending on what he wants to do there. So I think that's what I hope to see. Whether it's going to be there, I'm not sure. But again, Bailly, he's one of them players who can stop players, and again, he can make a mistake. But I'd rather see that than over a Maguire playing. He's too low on confidence. He's not doing what he should be doing at the minute. He needs a rest, and good job he's basically it's kind of a welcome red card for him to get that rest and then see what Bailly can do. We've got to use our squad, and that's what I think Tuchel does really well.
Yeah.
He uses all his squad, so when he brings someone in, they're fit, raring to go. Yeah. Whereas United, they're sitting and they need couple games to get into the flow, and that shouldn't be the case. And that's one thing I've seen Carrick do, and I hope he continues to do that while he's here.
Nathan, can I ask you? Do you not see Michael Carrick maybe changing the shape just for this game and trying to match Chelsea up with a possible 3-4-3 as well, and especially with Maguire being out of the side? Could you not see him go to a 3? I know they played it recently. Got a little bit of stick for it, I suppose, Ollie did, because it didn't work too great. But do you not see that he might look at trying to change the actual shape of the side?
The only reason why I was thinking not is because we don't have options at the back no more. We've only got Lindelof and Bailly fit. I think Maguire's not available. Varane's injured. So that means now you can't have those three at the back. Is he going to play Wan-Bissaka at the back with them three? I'm not too sure. It just seems like a three that's never been used. So I can't see how he's going to do it. I'm not sure. But that would have been something that I would have thought he would have done, because that's what Ollie done in the past. Played a 5 and then and tried to do it that way. But you never know. He might try and put McTominay in there. You never know, because you do want to stop them getting chances. So the more kind of defensive you're going to play and trying to counter attack in this game. It looks like he's not afraid to take players out as well. So Bruno got to sit down. Might have been so he can play this game, or it might be that he just wanted to put Van der Beek in the hole. I'm not sure, but I'd like to see Van der Beek a bit deeper, playing where he played against Watford, and then Bruno doing his thing further up. So yeah, to answer your question, I'm not sure, because I don't think we have the right options to do that. But maybe you do. You think of something else. I'm not sure. What do you think?
Well, I feel that Luke Shaw's played left side of a 3 before as well. So
injured. He's got the concussion.
Oh right, if he's fit.
If he's fit, If he's fit,
he could play the left side, and then you've got obviously Lindelof, and maybe Bailly could play the right side of it as a 3 in that way. I just feel he's got to come up with something that tries to mix it up a little bit. Maybe that little bit of a surprise element to Chelsea for me, because you touch on him being the assistant manager and now taking over, and you're saying that he could do, he's not had a lot of time, but he's had a lot of time to think about how Man United can play, because he's behind Ollie. And I don't care what you say, every assistant has got in their own mind, have got their own ideas of what can improve the team that they're working
100%.
with. Sometimes they share that with the manager if their trust is in that sort of relationship. Sometimes they just keep it to themselves and just support the manager in his own ideas. And you've seen it many times before. Assistant takes over, straight away he starts changing things, he tweaks it. Those are his own ideas that he's had over a length of time that he decides to use when a manager goes. So it'd be interesting.
Do you think it's more of a case that managers want to hear from their assistants with like different advice, or do you think in general most managers just when I ask for help, I'll when I need help, I'll ask for it?
I think it depends, Kieron, on the individual and the relationship he's got with his assistant and the trust. Some managers are very direct with, I've got my way of doing things. Everybody pulls in that direction, and we'll find the best way to achieve that. Other managers are very open to other ideas from their assistants, from their first team coach, and from the backroom staff. So it depends on the individual, but more often than not, well, obviously the manager will have the final say on things. For me personally, when I've been a manager in the past, I know at lower levels, I've always listened to the ideas of everybody else and taken it on board, and then coming up with my own final decisions on things. But I think it only makes you better if you're prepared to, lean on people that are supporting you.
Do you find it, with your experience, did you find it when you heard from other people's, it would potentially sway you in one way that you've maybe overthought it, or is it you had your frame of mind and you took it in, okay, I like what you said, but no, I'm going to go with mine? Yeah,
no, it's different horses for courses, really. There's been situations when I've had assistants that very experienced themselves and have put something to me, and I've totally agreed with it. And it's something that I might not have seen. They might be thinking outside the box, and I've taken that on board and I've utilized that. And it might even be a case of you understand what they're saying, but you might feel to yourself, maybe we need a little bit more time to work on that. But I totally get where you're coming from. So it might not be initial straight away you make that change, but it could be something that you work towards. Yeah. So it depends. It depends on the relationship you've got with your coaches and your staff, really.
All right. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how much Carrick does change, because I know you said you noticed a little bit of change last night, Nathan. What were those changes that you noticed?
Yeah, he put Donny in the hole, and then I saw Martial up top, and I saw Cristiano on the left at times early on in the game, and then I saw them switch over. So I was like, okay, that's a bit different. And it was more like a 4-3-3, instead of normally two sitting. I think Fred was playing a bit more forward, and he was pressing higher, and that's how we got the goals. He actually pressed higher, won the ball, and we went and scored. And he did the same thing again for the second goal as well. So with that, there was a few different things, and you can see that he had a plan. Like I was saying yesterday, he had a plan to start the game, and then he changed up a few things during the game, and then he also brought on his players to, obviously that was his next plan coming on for second half, to make sure they take advantage of the tired legs. So I can see, that's what I mean, that you couldn't really see that when Ollie was there. You couldn't see him really saying much to the players, and you couldn't tell what they were trying to do. But with this, I could clearly see what was going on, and obviously time to work on it. They still conceded too many chances for my liking. They can't let that happen against Chelsea. Seriously, we'll get destroyed. So we've got to fix up and tighten up there. So I don't know.
Frank, who would you start with against Man United? What would be your lineup?
Difficult one, really, because I'll kind of be second guessing the manager without really watching the last two games, because I didn't see the Leicester game and I didn't see the game obviously last night. So but there's certain players that can fit into the way that Chelsea are playing with the 3-4-3, whether it be with 2 10s. I know Lukaku's missing from the side at the minute, and Havertz sometimes
on the bench.
And Havertz sometimes plays that false 9 sort of situation instead. I would go with the same fullbacks again if they're both fit. The back three would probably be the same again: Thiago, Rudiger and Chalobah, and then a front three. I feel like it's time that Mason Mount gets back into the side. I know he's been on the peripheral of it recently.
Why do you think he hasn't been playing?
I'm not sure. I don't know whether he's been carrying an injury or he's just been, maybe rested a little bit, because he's played a hell of a lot of games in the calendar year. You think he never normally misses games. So it might be just recharging the battery. But I feel that his energy will definitely be needed for the Man United game. The way he gets forward and breaks forward from those midfield areas. Obviously, there's a lot of players that have come into the side and held their own. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I feel, his pace and power in the middle of the park as well. Be interesting to see if Kante's not fit. Maybe Ruben Loftus-Cheek may get a start alongside Jorginho in the centre of the park as well. So he's got a lot of options again. And, I would never I wouldn't question whatever team that Thomas Tuchel decides to play, because he sees them day in, day out, who's looking sharp in training and who gets the nod.
Definitely. All right. It's time for the... Off of that, Nathan, actually, who would you say is your key player? Who's going to be the one that's going to be integral to make sure Man United can get a result out of this?
Bailly's going to have a good game, and so is Van der Sar. And so is De Gea. He's going to need to have a good game as well, because I think they're going to concede chances once again. But if we can just get that first goal, I think that will be the difference. But I think, Bailly will be the main guy that needs to come in and do a job. Simple as that.
And Frank, who would you say would be the key player for Chelsea to make sure that things are ticking over and get a result against Man United?
Well, I think it's really important that Chelsea remain having a threat and pushing Man United back. I can see the pattern of the game being Chelsea having a lot of the football, Man United getting behind the ball and trying to have a structure that is difficult to beat and perhaps play on the counter-attack. So I can see Chelsea really, in charge of the football, and the possession stats will be very high in Chelsea's favour. But for me, if Havertz plays that false nine, I think it will be very important that he's a real threat to Man United going forward. But again, whoever plays in that middle of the park for Chelsea, whether it be Jorginho and Kante if he's fit, or Jorginho and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, it's how quickly we move the ball and keep that position and tire Man United out, because it's a big part of Chelsea's philosophy is using the ball, moving the ball about, tiring the opposition and getting the rewards of that probably in the last half an hour, 20 minutes of the game, and punishing Man United when they're tired and fatigued.
I don't want it to play out like that.
It's gonna be a tough game. Nathan, give us your score predictions.
There's a part of me that says Chelsea are going to win the game, but there's a part of me that says if he picks that team, we might have a chance to just sneak something. I'm going with a 1-1 today. I'm going with a 1-1. I'm not even trying to be wishful thinking. That's just silly trying to say we're going to go and win at their ground after playing so badly for the last how many games. So I think 1-1 it will be. And my goal scorer will be, I think, possibly get Cristiano back on the sheet again.
Oh, shock. Cristiano. Maybe 1-0, 89th minute.
It'll be 1-0. It'll be 1-0. I'll go with a 1-0 Cristiano.
All right. Frank, what would you say the score predictions?
Well, I've done predictions over the last couple of games for Chelsea, and I was a little bit generous to Leicester City, when obviously one of my former clubs as well. So I didn't want to get too much.
Yeah, don't upset people.
For putting them to the sword. So I actually thought Leicester might get something out of the game and predicted a 2-2 draw. And obviously, that was silly because Chelsea battered them. You know what I mean? And it was 3-0. But the game previous to that, I predicted a 3-0 win for Chelsea, and they actually did. So I'm going to go back to where I believe Chelsea are at the moment in the form they're in, and I'm going to go with a big win for Chelsea, 3-0.
Big win.
Wow.
Big win.
No goals against, no reply.
The pressure is back on Man
Conceded
United.
24 goals in 50 games, Thomas Tuchel is the manager.
I know.
So I don't see him conceding many goals in this game.
All right.
True.
It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good one. Frank, there's a few questions in here for you. There's a lot of people asking questions.
Okay.
So let's go. I think I saw one in there which was, who was your toughest opponent?
That I played against?
Yeah, that you played against.
Yeah.
Thanks, Frank. It was me, yeah. Thanks, Frank.
I remember playing against Wigan, at Wigan, and Nathan and Jason Roberts were up front that day, and they gave me the runaround. I must admit, that was tough. I think I was at Burnley at the time, if I'm right. Would I been at Burnley or Leicester City in the Championship? I can't remember. I think I was captain of Burnley at the time. And
was it? I have to check that. I'll double check that.
Yeah, double check that. But I know that was a tough day at the office playing against them two, because they had a bit of everything, the two of them as a combination. But if you talk about one individual player that I played against, and I played against some top players, the likes of your Alan Shearers, your Thierry Henrys, Mark Hughes when he was at Man United, Bergkamp, Anelka. I played against some real top players when you look at individuals. But the one that stands out for me, because he had everything, and that would be Eric Cantona. In that Man United side, he had a great touch, great awareness. He was quick, and not many people talk about the size of him. He was like 6'4", difficult physically to come up against as well. So I always go back to my experiences and think back at when I used to play against Cantona. He would be somebody that would make me play on the back foot and wouldn't be confident in stepping in and actually playing up against him. I'd protect the space behind me because I feared playing against him. So I'd go with Eric Cantona.
What was his main attribute? What was his
awareness, Kieran. He would do whatever you didn't want him to do. If you wanted him to come high so that you could mark him tight, he'd drop into spaces and pull you out of areas. He had the ability to run in behind, bring you underneath the ball and run and spin and run in behind. And his touch was ridiculous. Every time you thought a ball's been fired into him and you're thinking, if his touch ain't perfect, I'm going to nick this off of him. And he'd always have a perfect touch, the wrong side of you. So his all-round game was unbelievable. And he was good in the air, a big man as well. So he had the lot.
Yeah, obviously you played in the World Cup with the Reggae Boys representing Jamaica. And you played against Batistuta. How good was he?
He was frightening. He scored a hat-trick that day, I believe, if I can remember rightly. We got beat 5-0 by an Argentina team that went on to, I think, lose in the semi-final. And not only Batistuta, but I know we had a man sent off quite early in that game. Darryl Powell got sent off.
Silly foul, halfway line.
For his second yellow card. And he was man-marking Ortega on the day, who for me at the time he was like what Messi was like after Ortega. He was very underrated. What a player he was. And we actually had Darryl Powell man marking him on the day, and I think he's just he got a bit excited and put a naughty tackling on him early days to show him what this game was going to be about, and then followed it up 5 minutes later with another naughty tackle, 2 yellows out the game. So, going back to Batistuta again, the movement, ability, getting in behind, finishing. All his chances were half chances, and he stuck them all away. And that just showed the quality of the player.
Yeah, you did get a 2-0 win against Japan, though. So
well, I believe at the time, Kieran, we were the first team to go to a World Cup and actually win a group game. So before us, any other team that had gone to a World Cup before, they'd lost all 3 games. So that in itself just shows the quality of, the standard of World Cups themselves, to actually get 3 points on the board and not finish bottom in the group in your first World Cup appearance and I believe that was Croatia's first World Cup. They went on to do really well in that competition as well, and obviously Japan. So we had 3 teams in our World Cup group that played in their first World Cup. Japan never won a game. Croatia did, and went on and done quite well in the tournament. And obviously ourselves as well. It just shows the standard of what the World Cup's all about.
Yeah, trust me, we were proud in our house of that on that World Cup. Trust me, we were shouting to the rooftops.
That was amazing.
Yes. So that is all we have time for. We've got our score predictions in. 3-0 victory, Frank says, and Nathan says a 1-1 draw. Key players. Look, it says it all, Nathan. You've got your key players, David De Gea. Like you can't. you can't.
Yeah. Negativity. Float.
There we go.
Hey, it has to start from the back. Telling you, Cristiano can always do something, but we just got to stop goals coming in at the back. And if we can do that, we've got a chance.
All right. And thank you for everyone who's joined us today in the comment section. If this is the first time you joined us, come and hit that like and subscribe. If you're watching on any other platform, if you're watching on Facebook, come over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Frank.
My pleasure, Kieran. Nice one, Nathan. Good to see you, mate.
And of course, thank you very much for joining us tonight, our co-host, Nathan Ellington.
Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thank you.
As I said before, peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.